Welcome to Powerboat Talk, the podcast where we talk everything performance boats with your host, Joe Road.
Hello, welcome to Powerboat Talk. This episode is brought to you by SoCal Jet Boats. You can check out owner Brad Martin on episode 28 of Powerboat Talk to learn more about their company. SoCal Jet Boats is one of the original online forums, and it's still a great resource for all kinds of performance boat info. SoCal Jet Boats has an online store that has a fantastic selection of hot boat apparel and a full line of jet pump parts and accessories. SoCal Jet Boats is also a great supporter of drag boat racing, and you can find them at most ADBA and NJBA races. You can also find them on Instagram and Facebook or online at SoCalJetBoats.com. Welcome to Powerboat Talk. Today I have with me old friend, old colleague, Warren Kosikov, who is now the Vice President of Sales for the Specialty Equipment Manufacturers Association, which you guys probably better known as SEMA. So Warren's into helping our car hobby out, and he's got a lot of background in boats, so that'd be a good guy to talk to. So thanks for coming on, man.
No, excited to be here, Joe. Thank you so much. And I'm going to correct you a little bit off the bat. I think we went from Manufacturers Association to Market Association.
Oh, really?
Because as we've grown from the specialty equipment, from the speed equipment manufacturing association through some iterations, we really represent the whole market now and not just manufacturers. So, but SEMA, we'll go with SEMA.
Right. That's probably why I didn't know, because I always say SEMA, right?
Right.
So SEMA, for those of you who don't know, SEMA is basically I guess the biggest thing we all probably know SEMA for is for the show, which is, I know it's a big part, but there's a lot of advocacy you guys do and government relations you guys do. But as far as the show goes, I mean, it's basically a trade only show. It has been for years. So you kind of had to be in the market, in the industry of automotive aftermarket or marine aftermarket power sports to get to the show. But you guys in the last few years, because you guys do a great job marketing it, but then you whet the appetite of all these guys that can't come to the show. So a few years back, you started doing some stuff to let people become more involved in the show. So you're doing a thing called SEMA Fest now. I saw that you just released, there's some bands playing, and it's kind of an elongated part of the show. So I don't know if you want to talk about that a little bit and how people can get involved and come enjoy it.
Happy to. Well, we know there's always been this thirst, this hunger, this appetite with people outside of the trade to understand what goes on within the four walls of the SEMA show. And I think that we first saw that when we launched the SEMA Cruise, which was kind of the first thing we did outside of the SEMA show. And essentially that was, the show ends at 4:00 on a Friday, and the first thing that happens is all the cars have to move out. And we started noticing that some of the locals were, bringing some picnic chairs and lining up the streets to watch the cars move out. It is some of the most amazing cars in the world that gather in Las Vegas there. So we said, maybe this could be something. So we turned that into the SEMA Cruise. A couple of years later, we thought we had this parade that went to nowhere. So we said, hey, it should have an ending spot. And we started a little, what we called our official after party or something like that. And it was called SEMA Ignited for a couple of years. And we had some drifting, and it was open to the public. And we had some drifting. We did some motorcycle. A couple of years, the Nitro Circus came and did some motorcycle stunt work. We had exhibits and food trucks, and it was a nice little event on Friday evening. As that appetite began to grow, and as some of our manufacturers were looking to have more direct to consumer activity, which they found through the pandemic was an opportunity for them, we decided how do we bring those together. And so last year was our inaugural SEMA Fest. And last year it was a 2-day event at the Las Vegas Festival Grounds, which is just adjacent to the convention center. And very successful from a participation standpoint and a band lineup, and really a way to bring those enthusiasts into the SEMA family. And this year we're continuing that program. SEMA Fest, a couple changes. SEMA Fest will be on the grounds of the SEMA show this year. It'll be in a parking lot just south of our South Hall, where folks that are familiar with the show, they'll know that Optima does some of their Ultimate Streetcar Challenge in that same lot. And we're going to share that lot with them on as we move into Friday night for SEMA Fest. We've got a great lineup of bands: Sublime, Cage the Elephant, Fits in the Tantrums, and Petey. We'll be headlining, the night from a musical standpoint, and we'll still have some of our automotive partners there. Looks to be a great time. Tickets are available now, moderately priced. The other thing that I'll add is that we do something called a Friday experience, kind of a plus up for those people that want to also attend the SEMA show on Friday. And so we have a limited amount of those tickets available, but it allows you to come to the SEMA show on Friday, see the sights, the sounds, and the smells of the SEMA show, experience what the trade experiences Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and then move into the SEMA Fest experience on Friday night.
I forgot about you doing the Friday thing too now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. I think for the Friday deal where you can come in as part of the public, can you pre-buy those tickets too?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I think I remember the first time you guys did it, if you didn't pre-buy your tickets, man, you were in for a long wait.
Yeah,
so.
we got everything worked out now. Go to semafest.com and you can buy SEMA Fest or Friday Experience tickets.
Cool. Now, obviously, SEMA is predominantly cars, predominantly hot rods, which, obviously, if you're a gearhead, you're a gearhead. And you can look at some of the cars that are built there, just pretty amazing stuff that these guys have built. Maybe, you'll appreciate that if you're not in the cars, if you're just a boat guy. Plenty of ideas to integrate into your boat, but obviously it's an aftermarket organization for aftermarket. So boat guys, right? You're fueled by aftermarket parts. And so talk about how does SEMA help the consumer? How does it help the industry?
Yeah. So, as far as helping the industry, you mentioned it earlier that the SEMA show is the most visible thing we do, but we like to, make sure that people understand that we do get some work done the other 360 days of the year. And a lot of that work is done through our Washington, D.C. office in advocacy and legislative issues. And, currently we're looking at potential laws that are, going to ban the internal combustion engine. So we're working feverishly to help the consumers make sure that they have a choice, Joe. We're not anti-EV. We just think there needs to be a choice. So whether that is hybrid, hydrogen, some new technology that we don't even know about, but we want consumers to have a choice. And so our folks in Washington, D.C. are working super hard to make sure that consumers continue to have that choice. And then, to how that works into the marine world is that, internal combustion engines are internal combustion engines. So they don't know whether they're going into a race car, a street rod, or a boat. And so, our concern is that those same laws will then apply to the boating community.
And we all know that these, I don't know what you call it, lobbyists, these groups that are trying to ban stuff like internal combustion engines. I mean, one reason they're always after our sport, and I'm not just talking cars, I'm talking boats, motorcycles, power sports, just because we're low hanging fruit. We're not GM, we're not Ford, so that's why we have to be even more supportive of organizations like SEMA just to stay ahead of this stuff.
And the same companies you see that are SEMA members that are on the SEMA show floor are the same companies that produce a lot of the parts for engine builders for boats. So whether it's the Holleys or the Edelbrocks, the Comp Cams, the marine community is using those parts. And even though the marine community is a smaller sliver percentage-wise to the overall automotive world, when those folks buy, they if you've got a triple engine boat, you're buying three. You're just not buying one. So we want to pay attention to that.
When I was in the hot rod industry, I went to Washington, D.C. for an event. And while I was there, I looked up, there's an office, right? A SEMA office in D.C.
Yes.
And at the time there was a couple of guys there and I looked them up, got to know them and it was really interesting. And at the time, they were telling me that they would spend the majority of their time during the day just reading bills that were up to getting put through, because these legislators they'll throw a line item about something like an ICE engine at the bottom of page 62, and you don't see it.
They'll hide some things into these bills that we certainly don't want to see go through.
Yeah. And that there was the big, they all want to be able to say that I got that, I killed that engine, I killed that muffler, I killed that whatever, so yeah. So again, support SEMA, join me. I can't remember, is there individual memberships now for SEMA?
So we do now. That's a new program we have that allows folks to become an individual member of SEMA. And so we encourage folks to go to SEMA.org. They could sign up for a membership, receive newsletters, information, and really then become part of the voice of the community.
And just so in case you don't know too, there's another thing called the PRI, Performance Racing Industry, and it's a sister organization to SEMA. So when you support one, it'd be great if you support them both, but we support one, you support them both.
Yeah, PRI is what we like to call our racing arm of the SEMA organization. It has its own trade show in December in Indianapolis.
And that's a gearhead heaven too, that show. Sure. So if you want to just go as a fan, yeah. So obviously, as part of SEMA, you do all kinds of great stuff, but I mean, you're an old boat guy. Let's talk about that. That's how we know each other. How'd you get started in boats?
Yeah. So, growing up, I didn't really have access to boats. I always thought they were cool. We had one family friend that had a boat that once a year would invite us out to the lake. And I grew up outside of Chicago. So this is going up to a lake in Wisconsin. And I would be so excited to do that once a year and water ski and whatnot. And, didn't see myself, going into the business. And I was studying advertising in college. And I really thought, I was going to go to work for an advertising agency and come up with the next, where's the beef campaign to age myself. And found myself going to work for an advertising agency. But the account I worked on was Outboard Marine Corporation, the manufacturer of Johnson and Evernoot outboards. And I worked in a division that they had called OMC Ad Power. We managed the co-op program for outboard marine corporations and boat builders. And the way that would work is that as boat builders bought engines from OMC, they would accrue dollars that they could use, from marketing. And I was reckoning back, before you and I talked, and I remembered that one of the projects I worked on was a radio commercial, a Southern California radio commercial for Galaxy Boats, driving people to go to the LA Boat Show to buy a Galaxy boat. And, the irony of that is that the boat that I currently own and I've owned for 27 years is a Galaxy boat. So, little irony there. But so I started my life out in advertising agency, working on a marine account. I happened to be in LA helping a friend move out to LA. And I thought, I was young and single, and I thought, hey, maybe I'll look for a job in Los Angeles. And didn't take it too seriously, but, again, aged myself, looked in the LA Times, help wanted. It says, I see an ad that says advertising sales, Powerboat Magazine. Well, when I was with the agency, I used to place ads in Powerboat Magazine.
Oh.
So I knew some people there. And I called the woman, her name was Judy Welch. And I said, hey, Judy, this is Warren. Remember me? She said, of course. I said, well, I'm in town. I see you have a job opening. I might be interested. She says, well, come on in. So literally, I looked in the paper on a Sunday. I called her on a Monday. I interviewed on a Tuesday. On Wednesday, I booked my trip back for the weekend thinking, all right, I've had a week in LA is plenty. I'm good. I'll go back to Chicago with my friends and family. And on Thursday, she called me and says, okay, you got the job. When do you want to start? And I said, well, I don't know. I don't live here yet. How about give me 3 weeks? I'll keep my flight. I'll pack up my stuff and head back out. And I did. So I started advertising sales for Powerboat. And what a great experience that was. It was just really neat to work for this family, kind of business that, as you know, is multifaceted. in the galley business and the early electric vehicle business, more commercial electric vehicles. And then this boat magazine that Bob Nordskog took over because he wanted to keep it going, probably to make sure that his boat racing got continued to get coverage. And I was in ad sales, but we were a small staff and wore a lot of hats, so everybody did a little bit of everything. And I harken back to those, not original, but during my tenure, those performance trial days, with Bob Nordskog, leading the charge, Bob Teague, Norm Teague, Bob Brown, who I know you had on a previous episode. I saw that one. Mark Spencer, Lisa Nordskog. It was quite the crew, and boy, there's some great stories from those old performance trial days. One of my favorites is that he used to make us wear white pants and a red Powerboat shirt, and we looked like we were selling ice cream or something. And he had this rule about being late. And if anybody was late, because we'd all gather at one time in the morning out by where all the boats were parked, if somebody was 5 minutes late, he would count how many people were there. And if there was 10 people there and you were 5 minutes late, he just said you cost us 50 minutes. That was Bob Nordskog math. But
it wasn't wrong, right?
It wasn't wrong, and he was a fierce leader, and it was really, really neat being able to spend time with him during those days.
I want to know what your white pants look like after you're jumping in and out of boats for.
I know, right?
Crazy.
My job at the time is I worked with Dick DiBartolo doing the interior inspections.
Mm.
And for those that don't know who Dick is, Dick's claim to fame is he was the creative director of Mad Magazine. So, and a boater and a columnist for Powerboat at the time. And boy, we had a lot of laughs. What a sense of humor that Dick has. And we had a lot of laughs sometimes working on those interior inspections.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't really know he ever was actually present. Obviously every magazine you pick up with him, there's stuff and drawings, but I didn't know that.
Yeah. He was on staff and came to all the performance trials and worked away.
So when you started doing this, right, you had very limited. So now all of a sudden you're in the middle of all these, fast boats, hot boats. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, it was cool. And, in learning to drive a boat from, whether it was Bob Nordskog or Norm Teague or Bob Teague, couldn't be a better instructor to teach you how to handle a boat.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. Interesting. So then how long did you stay there?
So, yeah, interesting. So I was there probably about 3 or 4 years till right after Bob passed away. And there was some questions about what was going to happen with the magazine. And, it was a little bit of unknown. And I got a call from our competitor, Powerboat Magazine. And they said, come to work for us. And I thought about it. And, at the time, like I said, not knowing what the future held for Powerboat, having been that Bob had just passed away. And, I'll share with you, Powerboat was not a money-making activity for the company. It was, I think if we broke even,
right,
we were lucky. So the rest of the staff at Nordskog Industries didn't have a lot of love for Powerboat because it was just a kind of a drain on the resources.
Mm.
So when Hotboat called me, I said, let's talk. And I ended up moving over to Hotboat for 2 or 3 years. And again, working with their test team and their editorial team in ad sales. But they had a whole host of magazines that weren't just boat magazines. And one of them was a trading card magazine, which they had asked me to start working on. And I had I'm a sports fan, but I don't understand trading cards. So I didn't understand it. And I got sent to this show, and I'm standing in line to get into this trading card show. And it's like they say it's a 2-hour long line. And I go, this is, again, aging myself, pre-cell phone. I go, you know what? I'm not doing this. And I walk out of the line, and I go to a payphone, and I call my wife, and I said, I'm not doing this anymore. And she's like, your timing is perfect. There's a phone message here from Jerry Nordskog for you. It's interesting. And I hung up, and I called Jerry. I said, hey, Jerry, what's up? He's like, as you know, I've been taking over the magazine. We're doing great. We'd like you to come back. And I said, see you Monday.
Really? Oh, I didn't know that. It's interesting.
And went back and, then worked with a new team of folks. And that's when it was Eric Colby and Matt Trulio, who I know you had on. And we had a great team. And Vicki Newton I hired her. She was my ad assistant out of college at that time. And we had a good run. We had a good run there. And then I got a call from somebody at Petersen Publishing, and they said, "Hey, we're launching a jet ski magazine. We hear you're the boat guy." So I went and interviewed, and at the time in Southern California, Petersen Publishing was the big leagues. Whatever else you're doing was the minor leagues. If you wanted to be in publishing and you were in Southern California, Petersen Publishing was the place to go.
Yeah. No, that was hot rod, car craft, trucking, lowrider, right? Just about everybody, anything you can think of.
Motor Trend, it was it. And so, so I went and I accepted that position to launch Watercraft Power Magazine. Unfortunately, we were late to the game. And after about 9 issues, they came to me and said, "We're killing the magazine." I figured I was out of a job. They said, "Nope, we want you to work on Circle Track." So I worked on Circle Track.
Oh, I didn't realize you did Circle Track.
Yeah. Fortunately, I worked on Circle Track during the month of February, so I got to go to the Daytona 500 in the Petersen suite. So that was fun. And then from there, they gave me another project. Then after that, it was, "Hey, this tuner thing is really big.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
We have this magazine called Super Street. It's going to blow up. We want you to work on that." And again, I was like, "I don't know anything about this. Don't worry, you'll be fine." And I did Super Street, and that was, one of the biggest publications to ever happen at Petersen Publishing. That genre was just so big, and then with the whole Fast and Furious and everything, it really blew up.
That might have been the easiest advertising sales era, right, for you? Because I heard that I don't know if to call it a fad, but that sensation was so big they would actually sell out in advertising, which you and I sell in advertising last year. That's unheard of, right? There's always more.
It was crazy. It was a fun time. But from a business standpoint, Petersen sold at one point, and then the company started. And I don't remember when you came on, but exactly. But we started going through a lot of transitions. I think I'd gone through 4 different owners at one point while I was there. And again, I go up to my office one day and there's a phone message, and I pick it up and it says, "Hey, Warren, this is John Diana. I'd like you to come out to my house and talk about your future." Well, John Diana was the president of Petersen Publishing, and he's kind of one of the guys that made Hot Rod Magazine. And I was pretty sure he had no idea who I was. I was convinced he had no idea who I was. So I got the address and I went out to his house, and to the point that even when I knocked on his door, I was thinking he's going to look at me and be like, "Oh, wait, you're not the guy. You're not the guy. I was the other guy."
Sorry, wrong Warren.
Yeah, sorry. And he brought me in. He laid out this plan for this publishing company that he was going to launch called Buckaroo Communications, that he was naming after his boat. His boat was named the Little Buckaroo. And again, he was a big boater. And he laid out this plan for a hot rodish magazine, a street rodish magazine, a Chevy magazine, a Ford magazine, a truck magazine. And he goes, "And something else I want to show you." I said, "What's that?" When I was at Petersen, I had put together a business plan for Petersen to do a performance boat magazine. When I was back in the days at Powerboat and Hot Boat, both of those teams of people were both always concerned that if Petersen ever launched a boat magazine, it would wipe them both out. Because Petersen had the new, all the newsstand, they had the circulations, they had all the resources. So I put together a business plan and said, we need to do a boat magazine and wipe out these two other magazines. I never heard a word about it. Well, I'm sitting in John Diana's house that night, and he goes over all the magazines he wants to launch, and he pulls out a folder and he goes, "Remember this?" And he hands me my proposal for the boat magazine. I was like, "Holy cow, that made its way up to you?" And he's like,
you never knew it even got there.
Yeah. He goes, "Yep." He goes, "If you come to work for me, I want you to do this too." And that's what turned into Family and Performance Boating. Note that I always hated the name, but I wasn't going to win that argument with John Diana. Anyone who who knows who John Diana was, you're never going to win that argument. But I was happy to be able to take the reins and launch a boat magazine. But we took a really different tact. We did a car magazine for boats, which had never been done before. Hot Boat and Powerboat were really driven by the boat manufacturers and new boat tests. And we wanted to do a magazine that talked to people who already owned a boat and what you could do to make it faster, perform better, clean it, wax it, whatever it was. So we followed that model of the car magazines, like a Carcraft or a Hot Rod, and did the how-to articles. And, whether it was maintenance or repair. And we featured people's boats, kind of like in the old car days, they had the reader's rides. We did features on people's boats that were, really cool boats. So that was kind of a breakthrough in that segment, is, doing a boat magazine that was really a car magazine model. And we did really well with it.
It was, yeah. How long did you guys do that?
Geez, probably we launched it in 99-ish. I think when I left in 2006, they were still doing it. So.
Oh, I didn't realize they didn't. So,
yeah.
Yeah. And and I have to tell you, I think I told you, like, I like to buy old Powerboat magazines, and I've got a query on eBay to try to get family performance boat magazines.
Yeah.
And I can't find them.
I've got a box of them up in my attic.
Oh man, I got 3 or 4 of them. But when I was working at Eddie Marine, like, we advertised in there, and we looked at them. It was a great magazine. And when I went to when I was there, it was Prime Media or Source. But got into the car magazine, and I was on staff. You could see that was just a cool way of doing things, right? Yeah. Showing people how things worked, and you're right. There was never a boat magazine that did that. And it was a great magazine. It's too bad it didn't keep going.
Yeah. Well, then, we did get Prime Media at the time to launch a boat magazine, right?
Yeah, kind of a pseudo, huh?
Yeah. You brought, I think you were kind of right behind you. I think you were kind of took the lead on that. And it came to me at the time, and I was like, yeah, let's do it. But they never had any real interest in pursuing it, Just...
Yeah, it was tough. I don't know if I've told the story here. So at the time we were in that publishing magazine, and we set up didn't it start? I think it started with that tattoo magazine. Was it Inked?
Oh, Inked, yeah.
Yeah, we did one issue. We used to call them single issue publications, SIPs, and we did that. Somebody created it, and it went off. It was off the hook. It was great, right? So then there was a movement in the company, like, hey, let's do more SIPs. And I'm like, I was a publisher at the time, but I was also still got paid on ad revenue. So I'm like, oh, I'd love to do boats because I love boats, and if I do this boat magazine, I'll be the only guy selling ads in it. And so so that's how it happened. But you're right, it was a pretty small, peanuts, but whatever. It was something we did. So lasted maybe a year, 2 years, maybe even.
I think I was gone while you guys were still chugging along on that thing.
Yeah. But something we could say we did, right?
Yeah.
So you launched 2 boat magazines in your lifetime.
I did.
Yeah.
No, I definitely missed the boat market. There's I always thought there was a lot of crossover between the automotive market and the boat market from several perspectives. The low-lying fruit is in towing, right? Everybody's got, not everybody, some people don't tow their boat, but, large percentage of folks, tow their boat, they need a truck. And I always told the folks in the auto business, I say, hey, you want to see the best truck show you've ever seen? Go down to the launch ramp and check out the truck parked there.
Right.
They don't know they're putting on a truck show, but those trucks are phenomenal. What the boaters do to their trucks, and that's kind of low-lying fruit. And then there's just such crossover and an interest. People, I think there's people that love motorized things. So whether it's boats, motorcycles, cars, airplanes, there's just it all kind of works together. And if you remember back in, I think it was like 2007, 2008, SEMA had a pretty large boat section.
Mm-hmm.
And I was actually the one that did it. Mm-hmm. There was a gentleman here at SEMA, my predecessor, Peter McGillivray, who I worked with at Hot Boat going back a long time.
Oh, I didn't put that connection together.
Yeah.
Oh, no kidding.
So he said, hey, and he was here at SEMA, and he was a VP. and he said, "Hey, we want to do a boat section." So he kind of contracted me to reach out to all the boat manufacturers to bring boats to the SEMA show. I think we did it for 2 years in a row. And then the reality is, and I could tell you now that, space becomes a limitation. It just becomes hard to have a big boat and trailer, with limited, as big as the convention center is, you fill it up and space becomes tough. But we still get some interest from boaters. Mark Cruiser, not too long ago, was an exhibitor. We have a power sports section that we'd love to continue to grow and include marine in that. We're actually doing a lot of work with Yamaha right now, going back to that ledge reg conversation we were having. Right now a lot of states are trying to ban the ICE engine, as we talked about. We've got a campaign that's called Ban the Ban. And, Yamaha is actually working with us so that people could, maintain their freedom to choose the vehicle technology that they want. And Yamaha is right now one of the leaders in developing technologies that lower, the carbon footprint of all motorized, vehicles. They brought a hydrogen powered boat they have. I think they may even bring it out to the SEMA show. So we're doing some work with them. They're going to be on a panel with our CEO in a couple of weeks out at the Pebble Beach event about alternative fuels. So we'd really like to continue to grow that power sports area. And like I said, I think there's a lot of crossover in the marine market. And then on the PRI side, it's kind of a natural because PRI is racing. It doesn't anywhere say that it's car racing. It just says performance racing industry. So even in the magazine, we've covered some boat racing every once in a while. And we'd like to encourage folks in boat racing to come out to the PRI show for sure in December in Indianapolis.
Yeah, the Southern Drag Boat Association, the last few years, they've had a display out there, and
Sure.
David Carroll, who runs that organization, he raves about it. He's like, man, our videos from that show get so much play. People love they take their top fuel boat there, and yeah, he had good things to say about it.
So yeah, and then the engine builders, it's a lot of the same engine builders who are building boats for drag cars and drag boats.
Yeah. Back to the ICE thing too, because I believe didn't California formally banned it for like 99? Well, I can't remember what year they banned it, 29 or something. But
yeah, there's a stat like they want it, by 2030. I'm not going to get my stat wrong, but we'll call it in the coming years. They want to phase out the internal combustion engine.
But I've seen, I'm on the which is another good thing you guys want to do. PRI and SEMA both put out newsletters. You can sign up for those so you can keep up with what's going on in the industry. But I've seen where now states, like I see states almost every time going, Kentucky is not they're against California's ban. Like all these other states going against California.
Yeah, and that's part of the efforts of our folks in DC who are really advocating for the industry and working with legislators in those states to get them to understand how important it is to the industry.
Yeah. And again, like we said, gearheads are gearheads. We're low hanging fruit. So these politicians looking for that win, they're not going to stop just cars, they'll get anything. I mean, you got buggies. Look, you got catalytic converters on a new boat. You got, they went after buggies and motorcycles years ago.
And hey, I know there's a couple manufacturers out there that are producing, EV boats. And again, if that's what the consumers want, great. We just want them to have a choice.
Okay. Right. Perfect. So any other ways we can get people on board to help you guys out other than being a member, come out to SEMA Fest?
Yeah, come out to SEMA Fest. PRI has an individual membership program as well. So if you're in the race world, definitely, go to performanceracing.com and see what we have to offer you there, the show in December. And really, it's about everybody having a voice and being part of this community to have a voice to make sure that the things that we love to do, and whether it's car racing or car building or boat racing or recreational boating, the things that we love don't get legislated against.
Yeah. And I have to tell you, I don't know if you get that. Somehow I still get PRI Magazine. So I don't know if you get a membership, you get the magazine. But but I will tell you, PRI Magazine, it's still a real magazine, and it's literally one of the best magazines I ever got, because it's all hardcore, cool stuff.
So
racing
I appreciate that,
organizations.
though, because the other hat that I wear is publisher of PRI Magazine and SEMA Magazine. So I still kept my fingers in the publishing business, and
Awesome.
and I work with the teams here at SEMA and PRI that produce those magazines. So appreciate that.
Well, no, it is. And I remember I told when Jamie Meyer was there, I remember telling him that. And I think I might have even mentioned it in front of Tim Foss, because he produces some magazines that are pretty good. But no, seriously, if the membership includes that magazine, it's worth the membership just to get that magazine.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it doesn't. But we will be able to get the digital magazine.
Okay, there you go.
With the individual membership.
There you go. Okay, well, it's awesome. And if you're into motor stuff at all, and they do that, you guys have boat stuff all the time in there.
Yeah. Like I said, we like to talk about racing, and whether it's quarter midgets, drags, boat, whatever it is, we like to keep all those communities happy.
Yeah, perfect. Well, is there anything else we missed, or anything else you'd like to put out there?
Yeah, no, we just want people to understand that that SEMA is here. Our mission is to help our member companies prosper, and that's what we do. So we work, the 360 days of the year outside of the show to help our member companies succeed and prosper. And then we put this marketplace together in November to help bring the buyers and sellers together, and the networking in those communities. And then we do it in December for the racing community. And if folks want to support those efforts, and like I said, have a voice to keep their hobby or their passion from being legislated against, go ahead and join SEMA or PRI membership.
Yeah, awesome. And again, SEMA is like the first week in November, I believe, is a SEMA show. So
yeah,
highly recommend that, or PRI if you get a chance to get close to it all. They're really good events.
Yeah, and like I said, if you don't qualify through our trade system, come on Friday and experience our Friday experience, see the show, and some great bands at SEMA Fest on Friday night.
So awesome, and it feels good to have a boat guy up top over there, so we know there's a little bit of extra angel on the shoulder.
Boat is off. I got my boat out a couple of weeks ago, and I'm sad to say it was the first time in about 2.5 years that boat touched water. Sad.
Yeah. But I think Bob Brown was the one that said, once you're into boats and you've been in fast boats, it never leaves you. So
yeah, I've had some really, really fun opportunities that are super memorable. And whether it was being in Michigan at a poker run one time, when the boat Ohio Steel was the first Ohio Steel that had just set the V-bottom kilo record, and they were going to run it in this poker run. And at the last minute, Reggie Fountain wasn't able to make it. And they said, Warren, do you want to take his seat? And I put on Reggie's helmet. Now, they didn't give me the throttle seat. They gave me the navigator seat. It wasn't exactly his seat, but it was a seat in the boat. And I got to sit in Ohio Steel, and it was the meat in the seat, and there wasn't much to navigate, but I literally had Reggie's helmet on, and I'm, going down Lake Michigan in Ohio Steel. That was a thrill.
I could see Reggie. Well, I can't make it. Get that Warren guy. He can do it.
I've got a photo. There's a photo of it that I got that somebody had taken, and I had Reggie sign it. And,
oh my gosh,
that was a really great experience. I got to do the Mercury tunnel, the 2-seater tunnel boat with Bill Siebold.
Wow!
Like, how cool is this? I'm in a tunnel with Bill Siebold. So I got to really have some fantastic experiences through my boating career.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. When I was at Powerboat, I remember like you said, it was a really small company. Yeah. Didn't really make any money, so you didn't really make a lot of money working there. So there comes a day when you're like, do I get to keep playing, or do I have to go be a big boy, right? And I'll never forget that day when I decided. And you just keep thinking like, God, I'll never get to do this again. Never. Yeah,
even when we were in the Powerboat offices in Ventura, we always had it. When I was there, we had a Scarab on the dock, and we had a Formula for a couple of years, and you just got to go take that boat and
Yep.
Run around Channel Islands and down to Oxnard, Channel Islands Harbor. And, how often do you have opportunities to go jump in an offshore boat that you're not paying for?
Right.
And,
Right.
Go run around.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Pretty cool. But hey, that's why we got this. We can talk about people can live vicarious through us. So.
Yeah, and I appreciate you doing this podcast. It kind of keeps the energy alive for the boaters.
Oh, thanks, man. I love it. It's a lot of fun. So awesome. Well, hey, thank you, man. I know you're a big important guy these days, and nice of you to take some time off. And we connected. I went to SEMA has this thing called the manufacturers. Well, MPMC. I can't remember what MPMC stands for, but that's pretty cool.
Our council, Motorsports Parts Manufacturing Council, and they do an event called the Media Trade Conference. Yeah, that's what you're talking about.
So that was pretty cool. I actually had a chance. I went after work one day because I'm working stuff, but I'm kind of podcasters are considered media, so it was kind of cool. I got to go see people from kind of the other side of the fence. So. But glad we connected there and glad we got to do this. So
for sure. No, I appreciate the invite and keep doing what you're doing.
All right. Thanks, man. Good luck with everything. And I hope we see you guys at SEMA or PRI.
Thanks, Joe.
All right, man. Take care.
Thank you for listening to Powerboat Talk. If you like what you've heard, please head over to Apple Podcasts and give us a 5-star review. For more Powerboat Talk, follow us on Facebook or Instagram, or visit our website at powerboattalk.com.